Hello students. Today we're going to discuss the topic photosynthesis. So, who use photosynthesis? What is photosynthesis? So the answer is autotrophs. The photosynthetic organisms use photosynthesis for preparing their homes. So, what is photosynthesis? We already discussed about that. So, today, what are the raw materials needed for the photosynthesis? So the raw materials needed for the photosynthesis are first one is chlorophyll, second one is carbon dioxide, third one is water, and the most importantly, fourth one is sunlight. So from where we get all this? From where plants get all this? From where photosynthetic organisms get this? So the 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 raw materials like CO2, carbon dioxide, is present in the air. From from the atmosphere, plants get air, so carbon dioxide needed for photosynthesis. But the question is, in case of aquatic plants, aquatic organisms, from where they get CO2? So they use carbon dioxide in the dissolved form in the water. So जो कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड वाटर में डिजोल्व होते हैं उस डिजोल्व वाटर से ही एक्वाटिक ऑर्गेनिजम्स और एक्वाटिक प्लांट्स कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड लेते हैं. ओके, सो नाउ द क्वेश्चन is from where they get water. Now we all know from the soil the water is absorbed by root hairs, and after that the xylem tissue, the one of the complex permanent tissue which transport water in the plants, transport water to the leaves. Now, and next, the sunlight. The answer is the sunlight we are getting from the only from the sun. So now chlorophyll. Chlorophyll, we found chlorophyll in the chloroplasts. These are the special cell organelles in the leaves of the plant. So, what are the main sites of photosynthesis? Though all green parts of the plants are able to do photosynthesis, the most suitable site is the leaves because it contains some special organelle called chloroplast, which contain chlorophyll, which is most important for doing photosynthesis. So, the chlorophyll we get from the chloroplast, the sunlight we get from the sun, the water we get from the soil to the root hairs of the plant, and after that it transported by the xylem tissue, and in this process oxygen is released into the air and glucose is produced as the end product. So, what is the chemical formula of glucose? Chemical formula क्या है glucose का? It is C6H12O6. Okay. So, here's the summary of nutrition in green plants. So, like I explained, the light energy is coming from the sun, which is absorbed by the chlorophyll present in the leaves. And this absorbed energy causes water molecule to split the molecule into hydrogen and oxygen. And this phenomenon is called photolysis. After that, glucose is produced and oxygen is released, and water is absorbed by the soil, from the soil by the root hairs. So, now the question is, I already discussed the CO2. In case of aquatic organism, they get CO2 from where? And in case of terrestrial, the terrestrial organism means the organism which lives in the land. Okay, so the aquatic organism use the carbon dioxide in the dissolved form. Okay, so now we'll discuss the details about the mechanism of the photosynthesis. So now overall equation of the photosynthesis, it is 6CO2, 12H2O in presence of sunlight and chlorophyll. It is C6H12 process. This is nothing but this is glucose. And 6H2O and 6O2 release. Okay. The main cycle leads and the requirements are chlorophyll, H2O, CO2, sunlight. Now, what is the mechanism of the photosynthesis? There are mainly two stages in the entire process of the photosynthesis. What is so? One is dependent on light. One stage is dependent on light, which is called light reaction, and another is does not depend on light, which is called dark reaction. So, in the two stages, some events are occurring. What are the events? What are the events happens in the photosynthesis? So, there are basically three main events occur in the photosynthesis. So, first, light energy, which is provided by the sunlight, is absorbed by the chlorophyll molecule found in the chloroplast of the leaves. And this absorbed energy causes the water molecule uh, to split into the hydrogen and oxygen. And this phenomenon is called photolysis. Okay. After that, during this process also, light energy is converted into the chemical energy. And finally, carbon dioxide is reduced to the carbohydrate. So finally, the carbon dioxide is reduced to the carbohydrate, the end product of the photosynthesis. So now we learned about the definition, the site, the requirement of photosynthesis, the mechanism of photosynthesis, and now we're going to discuss the last topic, that is what are the factors which affecting the photosynthesis? What are the factors important for the photosynthesis? So there are basically two main factors. One is the external factor and another is internal factor. So external factor include intensity of the light, CO2 in the air, temperature and water. And the internal factor include chlorophyll content and the accumulation of the product of photosynthesis. So अभी आप लोग सोच रहे होंगे कि हम लोग का मम्मी भी खाना बनाते हैं और प्लांट्स भी खाना बनाते हैं, लेकिन प्लांट्स को तो प्रॉप बोला जाता है और हम लोग के मम्मी लोग को मतलब कोई ह्यूमन बीइंग से है बट व्हाई? Because plants take their own food from their inorganic food sources, raw material, but we are getting the raw material from the plants and animals. That is the difference. Students, that's all for today. मिलते हैं नेक्स्ट क्लास में. थैंक यू.